I don't know if it's a forced narrative or if there is some truth in it, but we can have a full conversation around it. This is what broke earlier from Sky Sports Premier League. As you can see, a number of Premier League clubs are monitoring Miles Lewis-Skelly's situation at Arsenal, but the club are not looking to sell any players this January. Now, this comes off the back of a report where a reporter from Sky was saying he was, I think it was at Tottenham Hotspur's training ground, but he was just basically saying, obviously, Miles Lewis-Skelly's not in the England side for this international break. There is a World Cup coming up. Thomas Tuchel has openly said, look, game time is the most important thing. If you're not playing, then, you know, we have to look at our selection. And also on top of that, he said something about not being a cheerleader, but he said something along those lines of, we don't need like a community person. Like, you have to basically add to the squad. So it got my back up a little bit. Maybe because I have a small bias. I think I've said it on the show before. I have a small bias with Miles Lewis-Skelly. It got my back up in the fact that I think Miles Lewis-Skelly is a phenomenal player. That's not to say Calafiori is not a phenomenal player, right? Let me just get my segment on by saying, like, Calafiori, been superb. He's earned his right to be the main number one at left back. However, when Miles Lewis-Skelly has stepped in, for instance, Atletico Madrid, and he does the run through the midfield and gets the assist, he's also earned his right to get enough minutes. Real Madrid, by the way, let me make this clear, we're looking at Miles Lewis-Skelly as well. So let's just make that clear. Listen, he's a Hairlem boy, but if a big offer comes in and if you're not playing at Arsenal as much as you would like to be, I know he's got a new deal. You can tell me all these things. I'm aware of that 5-year deal, but if you're not playing and Miles Lewis-Skelly definitely is worthy of playing that England squad for the World Cup, then his head may turn. So, Curtis, for you, on this news of other teams in the Premier League as well are looking at Miles Lewis-Skelly, as well as, you know, we saw Real Madrid were. Are you concerned? Are you annoyed? Did you have an opinion on this? You feel like it is a bit of a techie situation? Where are you at around the whole Miles Lewis-Skelly situation?
Do you know what, bro? I'm with you as well. Like, you know, I've got a bit of bias towards Lewis-Skelly as well, man. Even the way he is on the tour and everything, man. He's a top guy as well, and I do like seeing Hairlem players in the Arsenal team. And listen, Calafiori's done very well, so you can't really argue with him playing at left back. I suppose it's styles. You could argue that Lewis-Skelly is more comfortable in possession. He's a midfielder. He's free-flowing on the ball, you know. Look at that run against Atletico. Calafiori's a natural defender, Italian, plays centre-back. I don't have a problem with him not starting. My thing is just don't forget about him. You know, sometimes, even with Ethan a little bit, it's like they're way on the back burner at the moment. Now, listen, the main thing is that the club wins and we win trophies. And if players miss out, then, you know, then so be it. But I don't think we should just have a narrative that because he signed a new contract that, oh, he's not going anywhere. Like, football doesn't work like that. Like, you know, 6 months ago, he was starting left back for England and starting left back for Arsenal against Real Madrid and bossing it, by the way. All of a sudden, he's probably the third choice left back at Arsenal and left out of the England squad. Now, the thing with Skelly that I'm a little bit surprised at, I always thought there'd be a progression to play in midfield. Yeah, I thought he would get a chance in that left eight. Maybe if Rice doesn't play, you give him a Carabao Cup game, and that doesn't seem to have happened. I know a lot of people in the comments will say, he's 19, he signed a new contract, he's not going anywhere. I get that, and we are pretty secure, but as a player, like you've been there as well, Cecil, like you need to see a way forward. You know, Nketiah is going to be signed on a permanent in the summer. Calafiori costs 40 million. Nketiah is going to cost 45 million. That's two players in his way. So I think in the short term, Lewis-Skelly's just got to get his head down and work hard. You know, sometimes you have this in football where you're not in the team. You've got to put pressure on them and do better than them when you come into the team. But long term, we have to, you know, make sure he's not just forgotten about. Like even with Ethan, I've been saying, like, he's too good in a way to just sit on the bench every week if he's not coming on. You might actually be better off go on loan somewhere and get 20 games. I don't want to see that happen.
Yeah,
but
that's a tough one.
You know, bro, as a young player, you've got to play. sitting on the bench and not getting a lot of game time, it can damage your development badly. So
I think that's a strong point, just what you said there. I think people blur the lines between like, oh, he's young, let him bed in properly, like give him time. But when you're young, you want to be playing, you want to be thriving. It's the older players, it's the more senior players that you can actually understand if they're on the bench and, you know, biding their time when they come on, like the Jorginhos and that of the world when they're at Arsenal. Like they understand what it takes. When you're young and you're popping, if I'm honest, like you said, he's played for England, he scored goals for England, he's played well for Arsenal, he's played against Real Madrid. He's gonna want to play. He's going to want to be playing, and he hasn't really. If I'm being honest, you look at him, he hasn't really done anything wrong to not be playing.
If I was a club and I needed a left back, I'd say have a look at what's going on there. Speak to his agent. Yeah. I'm not saying, you know, because I've seen people saying in the title, oh, it's clickbait, he's not lit. No, we're not saying he's leaving. We're saying that clubs are looking at him. Thomas Tuchel is basically saying, unless you get regular game time, you are not probably going to be in the squad. Now, 6 months ago, I actually said on this show, I think Lewis-Skelly will start at the World Cup for England. Now, I'm not even sure if he'll be at the World Cup, to be honest, because Jed Spence playing left back. You got Lewis Hall at Newcastle. Yep. You've got O'Reilly at Man City. You got Luke Shaw started for Man United the other day as well, whether he can stay fit. So, listen, I don't think he's going anywhere. I don't think he is. But if you're sitting here at the end of the season and Nwaneri hasn't played enough and Lewis-Skelly misses the World Cup and Nketiah signs permanently, I think you're going to have questions. So Arteta's got to keep everyone sort of happy because they need game time.
Yeah, they need game time. Yeah, people saying it's clickbaity. This is the news that literally broke today. Clubs are monitoring Lewis-Skelly, which the guy did say agents are always monitoring on Twitter, the guy that popped up earlier. But when it says, should Arsenal be worried, it's because I kind of came up in the group and said, this is a concern for me. If I see Calafiori's out and I see Nketiah start or go ahead of Lewis-Skelly, I'm going to be a little bit frustrated, if I'm being real.
Yeah, because I thought Skelly will get the cup games.
Yeah.
And then you go to the Champions League, like you said, at Prague, it was Nketiah. So then you're looking at it going, well, he's getting a Carabao Cup game and the odd Champions League game. I think what we're just trying to say, people, is you look at, say, Cole Palmer and players like that. I'm not saying he's as good as him, by the way, but sometimes these young players slip through the net of clubs, and because you just assume I've got better players in that position, but you don't want to lose them. There aren't many 19-year-old left backs around Europe at the moment that are of the level that Skelly's at. And I don't even think Skelly is, you know, he's not a perfect defender. He's not a natural defender, but he's so good on the ball, you know, and Real Madrid were looking at him and stuff. So I think we're sort of saying, look, he does have to fight for his place. This ain't, you know, it's top level football. He's actually got to knuckle down now and fight for his spot, but also don't allow him to slip through the net. I still think he's a quality player. I think he's so good on the ball that, you know, you need a talent like that.
It's interesting. G-Star 343 says, Cecil, you've got your Arsenal goggles on. Players shouldn't get called up if they're not playing regularly. I mean, I've seen England squads where that happens loads, by the way, but that's not my argument. That's not even my argument. My argument is, okay, he's not playing, but that's what I'm more looking at Arteta like, brother, you need to listen. Like I said, Calafiori deserves to be starting, but there should be a fair rotation where Lewis-Skelly should be getting minutes. Like you mentioned, the last cup game against Slavia Prague, I was shocked to see Lewis-Skelly not start that game. And the reason why I said is because even that game against Atletico Madrid, people, like, he came in, he had probably one of the best games I've seen him in an Arsenal shirt, and then the next game he's dropped. I'm just like, bro, like, reward. Listen, I'm not the manager, so and people can say, "Oh, shush!" Like, what do you know? You know, you haven't got your A license or B license, whatever. But from a you know, earn your right to play perspective, Lewis-Skelly had a blinding game in that game, and the next game he was rotated out for Calafiori. I think that may not be necessary. And then I saw a comment that says, "Listen, he'll definitely play the next game, but the next game is a North London derby, and he's not going to throw him into." Well, I mean, again, last season, Lewis-Skelly at North London derby was sensational, but Calafiori probably on merit deserves maybe to start. So he probably does deserve to start that. But if I look at the next games, I was going to leave this to the back end of the show, but we run through it. Arsenal versus Tottenham, North London derby is the first game back. Calafiori, depending on how he is in international duty, if he gets injured or not, if he's fully fit, will he start? Most likely.